on. Okay. Hi, guys. Thank you for a wonderful talk. And crying is always okay, by the way. And she didn't cry for the recording, but if she had, it would have been okay. And you quoted that line from the Diamond Sutra, do not be attached for your thinking. So I always like to quote Shoda Harada's version of that, because I think it's so wonderful. Abiding nowhere, awakened mind arises. So that's another sort of translation of when thinking arises, do not be attached to it. So abiding nowhere is the non-attachment, and then awakened mind arises. Yeah, that's really nice. So are there any questions?
I do.
Okay. Mic transfer? Okay.
Which side? This
Yeah,
side?
that side.
Okay. So Zen Master Bon Hae always says this, that you need to make your practice hot. And he always tells people not to make anything. So what is that supposed to mean?
Yeah, so I think people might not have heard the last. So Zen Master Bon Hae always said to make your practice hot, but he always said not to make anything. Yeah, so make your practice hot, but don't make anything. The end.
Can you elaborate a little?
Yeah, so don't attach to words, okay? So make your practice hot. What does that mean? That means your center is really strong. This is really strong. And you're practicing, with great focus and great energy and great attention. That's what that means. So you have to use language. So he says, make your practice hot. He could say practice hot, but then you think, well, does that mean I practice in a sauna?
Bikram Zen.
In a hot tub, right? Yeah, Bikram Zen, right, yeah. So he uses language, make your practice hot. But also don't make anything. So make anything means, what Ali was talking about, our thinking, attaching to our thinking. This person likes me, this person doesn't like me, I did this, I did that. This kind of making. We make these stories all the time, these little dramas. And then we play parts in these dramas. And the problem is we're all in different dramas. And so, you're the hero in your drama, but maybe you're the villain in someone else's drama, and maybe they're the villain in yours, but they're the hero. And then, your dramas collide, boom, right? That's human life, right? And so we go around making these stories. It's really the worst, but we also make ideas. Even simple ideas like front and back lead us to trouble. East and west leads us to trouble. You go around the globe, there's no east or west. You just keep going around and around. You're going to end up wherever you end up, right? So we have these ideas all the time. And we make things all the time. We make our dramas, our stories, we make objects, we make purpose, we make abstract ideas, love. I want love, I want to give out, rays of love to the universe. But what is this love, It's an idea. So we have all these, that's what we make these things. And then we have to understand, oh, I made this. It has no substance. And then you can see what's actually there. You have to cut through your ideas, and then you can see what's actually there. Someone in the Zen class yesterday asked a question about wanting enlightenment. That why so there are these stories where these Zen monks practice and practice and practice, and they really want enlightenment. They really want enlightenment, And then they basically get hit in the head, or, whatever the Zen master that they're working with just kind of keeps, I've attained this enlightenment, whack, right? And so the point is, if you want enlightenment is an idea. You have an idea, this is what enlightenment is. And you have this idea, And then the idea comes between you and actually waking up. Actually waking up. You can't actually wake up if you have an idea of what waking up is, right? Because then you have to check your experience. Does this meet my idea? Then already you're dead. You're not fully alive. So so don't make anything, okay?
I have another question. So he also said, hiding underneath the past. What is that supposed to mean?
Hiding underneath the path? I don't know what he meant by that. I know what I might mean by that. I mean, it's people who go around, I'm so, special, I practice Zen, I'm maybe a monk, or maybe, I don't know. If you're a teacher, you better not say things like that, because then you shouldn't be a teacher. But, it's like, people who feel they're special, and they use that to hide from life. There are a lot of people do that, not just in Zen, in all kinds of places, in churches, in any kind of organization. They hide behind their role in the organization. Oh, I'm so special. I'm so special. And then they hide. That just becomes something else they've made. Okay?
One more question.
Maybe somebody else has a question.
I'd like to follow up with Ali's story about this little snake.
People can't hear you.
This just come up recently, all these questions. So,
You have to hold that
okay.
near you.
So it was a wonderful story, Ali. Thank you. And so recently I saw a documentary and see these, Ali mentioned that you heard other people, you heard other being, you heard the grass, you heard the whatever, trees, every living being. So I saw a documentary that was being around, and it was just ran into it. Is about, if you see, when I first came to this country, I saw all these neatly, wonderfully packing meat in the grocery store, which I never saw that in China, because if you, somebody's grandmother's killing a chicken, the whole neighborhood of kids will wait and watch, and every component of the chicken will be used. So the kids are waiting for the artery, and look like plastic tube, like a straw, and a feather. And so we could make game out of it, and then we play with that, kicking around whatsoever. So
Could you speak louder and slower? I think it's hard to hear.
So when I first came to this country, it was amazing to see these neatly packing meat from different animals, right? So, and I thought it was interesting, but never thought any more about that. But recently I also saw in this documentary that all these animals were, not raised in a humane way. They were in a cage and everything. And then there was this, what do you call it? There's a machine just come over, very violent. That's how they kill the chickens in the factory. So, so I just wanted to share that when I first came here, it didn't have this much impact on me, but I was surprised by the image, which was, in a way, it's very disconnected from the beast that we're all eating, and when it's packaging this way. But it's just very recently that I saw this documentary. So, so this is another thing that it came up to me, this whole thing came up to me by the book you gave it to me a long time ago, asked me to read, is called Universal Enlightenment, right? So, and I couldn't really see anything. But it was just until the last year in the middle of some sort of practice, then I saw what's going on, in this book. So, so I always understood that every person's relationship to different beings is very personal. So, but I also find myself feeling very, very uncomfortable if I'm in a situation that, even I understand intellectually that other people has a different relationship at a different time of their life, just like it took me, 40 years came to America, that I feel very.
So are you asking how should you react when you're with people eating meat?
Exactly.
Yeah, so how should you react when you're with people eating meat? I have no idea.
No, I actually was saying that I have a very strong discomfort.
Yeah, so you have a very strong discomfort. That's why I'm saying I have no idea how you should react when you're with people doing something that you don't approve of. This is something everybody has to work out for themselves. Everyone has to make their own life. Everyone has to live their own life. So I could tell you what I do, and then Austin can tell you what he does, and Allie could tell you what she does, but everybody's different. So I'm not going to tell you, oh, you must do this, oh, you must do that. You know, you have to find your way. And human beings are, as Zen Master Sung San used to say, number one bad animal. We do all kinds of horrible things. You know, one time I was doing a retreat up in the Rockies, the Southern Rockies, my 90-day retreat, and all of a sudden, these ants appeared. And they were like in our kitchen, these little tiny ants, not what you think of as ants, but they're almost like little dots. You know, you can't like make out their body parts very easily. They were really tiny. So same kind of ants. And they come in masses. You don't see one of them walking along and then another one walking behind them. They come in like great masses all together, you know. They have this real hive mind. And I mean, I became a fiend. You know, first I started trying to smash them, and that didn't work. And then I tried taping up, you know, the what I thought were the cracks, and that didn't work. And then I, you know, tried like hot water. I would pour hot water, you know, boiling water on them, and that didn't work. And I'd go back to smashing them, and that didn't work. You know? And eventually they went away. Because they were only there for like a season. You know, it was like they were there for like a few weeks, and then they were gone. But it was interesting watching my murder mind. That's why I bring up this story. Like, you know, we all have this murder mind, and it'll be, you know, if we're in the right or wrong, however you want to say it, if we're in we can all be in situations that awaken this murder mind. There's none of us that don't have that. And it's very interesting to watch. You know, must kill ants, you know, just, you know, gotta kill these ants, you know. I mean, I had this sun hat, and when I went to put it on, and I thought, oh my God, they're in the hat. And they were so tiny, and there were like thousands of them. It was a straw hat, and they were like in between all, I had to throw the hat out. I didn't have a hat. Yeah, it was really interesting. So yeah, that mind.
There was one on my robe when we started just oh. I forgot to mention that.
Okay.
I didn't notice while we were chanting.
Okay, yes, Austin.
I have like the beginnings of a question that I'm having a really hard time formulating, so I have like a topic.
Okay.
I'm finding myself beginning a relationship, and I haven't been in many of them. So like, what is the correct, I don't know the right word, to do with this thing? Is this, you see how I'm struggling? I don't know what to say, but that's my topic to you. You don't know the correct form, or?
No.
No?
Are you talking about a relationship with
The relationship with the person, yeah, a romantic relationship. How do you prevent yourself from putting badness in a romantic relationship?
Any relationship is the same thing. If you have to put that other person ahead of you. You know, their sadness has to be more important than your sadness. Their happiness has to be more important than your happiness. And if that happens, then has the seed of a good relationship. If that doesn't happen, then that relationship will only cause pain. So that's my little thing on relationships. But the thing is, I mean, I'm really lucky. I've been married for well over 40 years.
At least.
Yeah, we've been married for 44 years, almost 44 years. So I don't remember starting relationships. But I actually do have a small memory of the awkwardness. It's awkward. because you don't know. You don't know whether this person, whether you can do what I just said. You don't know whether you can put this person first. So it's awkward, yeah, and you have to find out. And yeah, it's not all fun and games. And then hopefully it's okay. And then you can put it on Facebook, in a relationship.
Can I say one thing about that?
Sure, you can say one thing about that. Hold on a second. Yes, you can say
When I got married, Stan said, I can't remember if I get the percentages right, but you both have to put in 70%. It's 100%, and you both have to put in 70%. Does that sound like something you would say?
He was wrong. You both have to put in 150%.
Yeah, that's more accurate.
Yeah, right. Does anyone online have any questions?
Actually, there is a question, and for some
Yeah.
reason people can't unmute themselves, but I can. So I'm reading the question from Jane. And I've
Oh,
tried to look at the settings to try to figure it out, and I'm not able to do that. So
wait a minute. Hold on. Let me see if I can. Where is Jane? Jane is gone. So,
Charlie's talking, but he's
okay. Wait, hold on a second. Let me see. Oh, I can ask people to unmute.
that's what I could do. I could ask them to unmute, but I couldn't find where I could.
Well, I'm so sorry that Jane is gone. Why don't you read her question, which I don't
Okay.
see in the chat.
Her question is, how can we use our thinking?
Oh, that's a wonderful question. Yeah. The same way we use everything. There's no rule, but just in the moment, how do you use it? So yeah, there are things we have to think about, right? We have to think about, how we're setting up the Dharma room. We have to think about when we're leaving the house. Well, we don't have to think about it. We know when we're leaving the house. But you're driving, and you have to react to things, and maybe, you plan, you budget, whatever you do. You look at your bank account. I don't know. We always have to, we have to think. Of course we have to think. I taught a class yesterday. I had to think. The people in the class, they had to think. So yeah, so what is the direction of your life? It's always the same question. What is the direction of your life? And then anything we do, we can use for that. That's the whole point. But yeah, there's no you use your thinking this way, and you use your non-thinking that way. It's not like that. But yeah, use everything. We have to use everything. Just like Ting was talking about, in China when she was growing up, if you killed a chicken, you used every single part of the chicken. So you have to use everything. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thinking is not something you squelch and you say, this is horrible, I shouldn't be doing it. When we talk about the senses, there's eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, which means, this kind of physical sensation, like touch, and mind. And what mind perceives is thinking. So it's an interesting, mind doesn't make thoughts. Thoughts appear and the mind perceives them. That's a very interesting way of looking at it. And so thoughts appear and the mind perceives them. And then what does it do with them? What do we do with those thoughts? Okay? Yeah, and I'm really sorry that Jane left and didn't hear. Well, maybe it's not such a great answer, but I'm really sorry Jane left before I got to the question.
She can read it on YouTube later. She wants to.
Yeah, that's right. She can see it on YouTube later. Are there any other questions? And if you raise your hand, I can ask you to unmute, or Liz can ask you to unmute, and then maybe you can ask a question. Okay.